Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, bringing you my NES SO Pokemon set. Today, as you can see from the awesome picture that I just found on the internet, we're going to be talking about Poliwrath. Now, Poliwrath has very interesting typing, which is water and fighting, which gives it a very good array of different stab moves that it can use, as well as other moves that aren't usually packed on the same Pokemon. Like water types generally have ice moves, and fighting types have a lot of like really powerful physical moves. But this set is a little bit old school, I would say, because of my because I'm remembering something of the sort being in a Pokemon Stadium game when I was younger when I played it. But I think that it can be very useful to use, so let's get started. So, as I always mention first in my videos, this is a jolly-natured Poliwrath, meaning that it has increased speed but decreased special attack. Now, even though Poliwrath's attack and special attack are fairly close together, his physical moves are generally better to use, so that's why the jolly nature as opposed to timid with a special moveset. Now, the ability Water Absorb has two really good uses to help Poliwrath gain an advantage on your opponent. First off, it heals HP when it's hit by a water type move, which is always a good thing to have, especially when your opponent is using Stealth Rocks or Spikes or stuff like that, which Poliwrath luckily resists because of its fighting type. But you can essentially get a free switch in with no damage if you predict right. And also, as the second thing, you'll be able to hopefully wall that water type that you just switched into, because it will most likely only have maybe an ice move with it or something like that. Like, generally water types are fairly simple to predict when it comes to what kind of special or physical moves they're going to have. So that gives you an advantage because obviously you are also a fighting type with fighting type moves. So in that situation you'll have the advantage because fighting types do standard against other water types. Now for the EV spread, which is fairly simple, 4 HP EVs to give it one more hit point, 252 EVs for attack to max out its attack, or the most attack it can have with the Jolly Nature, and then 252 EVs for speed. Now, Poliwrath really isn't the fastest Pokemon, and it still won't be really that fast, even with all these speed EVs and the Jolly Nature, but it's like a general consensus kind of thing that you really should be maxing out your speed on a Pokemon that you're expecting to do a lot of damage to your opponent in some way. So, even though it won't be outspeeding many major threats, I guess you could say, that are normally considered sweeping Pokemon and UU or even OU, because I think Poliwrath still has a pretty good moveset and typing to work well in an OU environment. You will still be able to hopefully gain an advantage with your moveset and your awesome attack power. And that's why obviously I chose Life Orb as the item, because it will be increasing the power of your attacks, even though it does take away health. But luckily, if you play safe with your Poliwrath and maybe only get in a hit or two at a time, you can switch in again on a water type and restore the HP that you lost from Life Orb before, allowing you to attack even more, which is always a good thing. Now for the moveset, and this is what I meant by old school, because I swear that this was in Pokemon Stadium. There is Mind Reader as the center, I guess, of the moveset, which serves two functions. The first is so that Hypnosis and Dynamic Punch will always hit no matter what, unless your opponent switches out. But the second function is to cause your opponent to switch out, because they will expect some kind of really powerful move, and they might even like just predict the Dynamic Punch, and so they'll switch out and take damage from your entry hazards that you will have on the field. Hopefully, I don't know how often people play with like Stealth Rocks and Spikes. I really don't like to use them because it just wastes a turn in my opinion, but that's just mine. and so you can be doing added damage to them by causing switches with Mind Reader. And now, as I said, it works in conjunction with Hypnosis and Dynamic Punch. Hypnosis is obviously to put your opponent to sleep, because it gives you a guaranteed sleep like Spore, I guess, but in 2 moves. And then Dynamic Punch is obviously a awesome move to use in along with Mind Reader, because it's 50% accuracy, which is probably going to hit all the time. I mean, it probably isn't going to hit at all. But it also has really high attack power. I think it's the same as Close Combat. And it also automatically confuses when it hits. So even if it switches into something that, I mean, even if you use it on a Pokemon that resists it or could potentially hurt you, you can still get the confusion off if you want to play risky like that. And now the water move, Waterfall, is the other stab move to use along with the set. And it's just pretty standard, I guess, on Poliwraths, because it's a physical water move and it has good power, and it also has the chance to flinch, which is where your speed can also come in handy. So you don't need the Mind Reader to use the Waterfall, thankfully, so you'll at least have a good move to use if you have nothing else, or you don't want to risk using Mind Reader and then getting outsped and being killed off by another Pokemon that switches in or something like that. So that's pretty much this set, I guess, and it's very powerful if used. I mean, if you can predict correctly and use your moves to their advantage, obviously. So I hope you guys like this one, because I think it's kind of like a throwback into like gimmicky sets that will work if your opponent isn't expecting anything like this to happen. So leave a comment and let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you later in my next video. Bye!